What's going on, Jerome's? It's a beautiful Sunday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. So just realized it's one of the first truly nice weekends here in the great state of Minnesota 2025, and basically just doing the old school thing. Like, got a big weekend plan, going to Home Depot, maybe Bed Bath & Beyond later. I don't know. Anyways, 11 days mercifully until the 2025 NFL Draft, and the Vikings have taken 3 players at number 11 overall. So first off is 1995 defensive end Derek Alexander from Florida State University. Now, he was supposed to be a dude, man, and also they took him instead of Warren Sapp. But 4 years, 57 games, 17.5 sacks. So, I mean, it wasn't what you wanted, but it wasn't like a bust. Maybe it was. I don't know. Then 2000 party over. Oop out of time. 1999. Quarterback Dante Culpepper, Central Florida. Get your roll on, baby. Something that you love to see. And Dante had some great years with the Vikings, just chucking downfield and random mouse, as well as probably should have been 2004 MVP. Screw you, Peyton Manning. But blew up his knee. Wasn't quite the same. And just, it's unfortunate. Yeah, but Dante was great, man, except for small hands. Yeah. 2015 quarterback Trey Waynes out of Michigan State. So he was fast. Didn't have great hips, but so Trey Waynes I thought was okay in spurts, but it really was a case of, hey, we drafted him high, you have to play him. And I think that was a mistake because Terrence Newman was a better cornerback than Trey Waynes. Right? And then eventually, was it year 2 or 3 with Waynes, Newman was just benched. And Waynes was inserted, right? And it's a spot where, Trey Waynes, good dude. He's a big buck hunter now. Not like the video game, but actually like hunting, which is awesome to see. But it's the opposite of what happened with Scene and Andrew Booth Jr. I mean, they could have mandated that, hey, they have to start because we drafted them high. Didn't happen. But Waynes, he was fine, but that's really about all it is. All right, so Dante, leading the way at number 11. It's beautiful to see. Also beautiful to see, April draft month fundraiser. All Venmos, Cash Apps, Super Chats donated to the show will go to Twin Cities and Seoul, South Korea adoption charities and sport organizations. We already talked about it. It's, I'm adopted, and it's something that we want to certainly pay it forward. And the wife and I even talked. So if we weren't able to have our kids, we would definitely look into adoption. And we still have it in the back of our mind of just paying it forward in that route as well. Although, I make cute kids. I'm not going to lie, right? But there's lots of couples out there that want to start to grow a family, and obviously a lot of kids who definitely have needs. But it's something that needs more support, and we would love to do that. And goal for the month of $2,500. We're currently at just over $1,400, so you guys have been absolutely crushing it. So big time love for the Jeromes, and you guys are the best as always. Thank you very much in advance. Also, ESPN did up a 2025 NFL Draft. Latest news and questions for all 32 teams, and a little bit of intel for the Vikings coming from Kevin Seifert, who's not Carl Gershman, as well as Matt Miller, NFL Draft icon. First up, with only 4 picks in the draft, what's the one position which the Vikings must find a starter? Seifert, the upside of the Vikings' $300 million free agent signing spree is it left them without immediate glaring needs heading into the draft. A strategy general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah said was intentional. It would be easy to derive a competitive 22-man starting lineup based on the current roster. If there is a position where the Vikings could need a starter soon, it's cornerback behind presumptive starters Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rodgers. And I sort of disagree. Well, not sort of. I vehemently disagree. So, at cornerback, I know that a lot of fans and analysts have been corner. But like I said, Murph is going to be that dude. Rodgers they see as an every down cornerback, and I have a lot of love for Mekhi Blackmon. I think that last year before he popped his ACL, I think that he was going to start. I think that he was going to be legit. Nudie in year 2, I think, can provide a little something. Plus, let's not sleep on the resurgence of Jeff Okudah. Now, does this mean that they shouldn't spend any draft capital at corner? No. But if they don't find value in the guy in the first, they don't need to reach. They don't need to do that. All right, so sort of disagree there. Miller, what we're hearing about the Vikings draft, the Vikings only have 4 draft picks in the draft right now, making them a prime trade back candidate in round 1. This would be an easy way for them to pick up more capital, especially if their teams wanted to get back in round 1 for a quarterback or a fallen pass rusher. Should Minnesota decide to stay and pick at number 24, cornerback and safety are areas it could address. Also, so the Vikings sitting on a first, a third, a fifth, and a seventh, a fifth and a sixth. Also, I wouldn't rule out the Vikings doing a little bit of alchemy with their 2026 draft capital. So they're in line right now for either a third or a fourth or a third and a fifth comp pick. Maybe could spice things up a little bit more if Shaq Griffin gets signed by the Seahawks. And the Vikings could take that extra projected third and extra projected fourth or fifth and maybe use that to get back into the fourth, get back in and get multiple picks here in the fifth, sweeten up that first, third, fifth, and sixth, and maybe package things up and get into the second round. So I think the Vikings certainly have options of flexibility, and that's what's number 1 for Kwesi. Yeah. Also, Jeff Chiita over at NFL.com did up one burning question for each NFC team before the first round of the draft begins. And for the Vikings, of course, J.J. McCarthy. This is what Jeff wrote. There have been lots of questions hovering around McCarthy in recent weeks, all of which revolve around the same issue. Is he ready to be the Vikings franchise quarterback? You know who never got any of these questions? Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels, Drake May. First came a report that the Vikings were weighing the idea of signing Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers had an interest in joining them. Rodgers called the Vikings. Kevin O'Connell said so. That's exactly what happened, man. Only for the second-year pro to later tell talk show host Kay Adams that he hasn't officially been giving the quarterback one gig, which was McCarthy, which he was comfortable still having to earn. Finally, though, GM Kwesi adofo-mensah reiterated publicly that the goal always has been for McCarthy to become the starter, adding that McCarthy has met every benchmark the team has set forth since becoming the 10th overall pick in last year's draft, which obviously is good. Even though McCarthy missed his rookie season after sustaining a torn meniscus in preseason, he impressed the Vikings with his leadership, athleticism, and ability to learn fast. It's also fair to assume he's poised to succeed because he's blessed. He'll be blessed with the same variables that helped Sam Darnold thrive last season. Exactly. Oh, Sam Darnold has a great supporting cast. Oh, the Vikings have a great supporting cast for Aaron Rodgers. All of that applies to J.J. McCarthy as well, including a strong supporting cast and coaches who excel at maximizing the talents of the quarterbacks. The Vikings took McCarthy high for a reason. It would be shocking if he did anything to screw up his chance to prove he was worth the investment. That's exactly it, too, where Rodgers might just be hanging out there hoping that J.J. McCarthy screws up in OTAs, screws up in training camp, or maybe gets hurt, which is kind of odd, right? But no, McCarthy should absolutely be good to go, and we'll rock and roll from there, right? And I don't think Vikings fans recognize what we're on the precipice of. Could this be a decade, 15 years of a quarterback you drafted, not a veteran retread, your homegrown guy with your homegrown head coach? We're close. We're getting there, baby. Come on. Also, speaking again there, Justin M, great draft resource. The relationship between Dylan Gabriel and Trayshawn Holden led the wide receiver posting a 45, a 718, and 5 line in 2024. Holden has a private workout with Seahawks and virtuals with the Vikings, blah, 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 blah. So the Vikings, again, doing more diligence on a late round projected receiver, potentially could be a UDFA. And I think that's smart because Holden may get drafted. He might not, right? So he started at Alabama, transferred to Oregon, put up decent numbers, put up 20 total touchdown receptions over his 4 seasons in college. And he does have some good strengths. Touchdown maker who averaged a touchdown grab every 7.1 catches, possesses crafty elements to his route running, good spatial awareness as his own target. RAS-wise, like he does have height, he does have size. Speed-wise, explosiveness-wise, didn't really check the boxes there, but I think that he's a player that is a solid route runner and good over the middle, good breaking down zones, being a zone buster type receiver, and also gets after it as a blocker in his strengths. I think that's something that's huge for Kevin O'Connell. So it's a player that it wouldn't shock me at all if he ends up being a priority UDFA for the Vikings when it's all said and done. Also, so the Vikings' backup quarterback, it's a mystery, wrapped inside of a puzzle, right? But a lot of people brought up Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz still out there just chilling, hanging out there in the free agency market yet again. And, the Vikings, the plan is murky right now. Are they just going to sign Tannehill? Did they have something in place with Joe Flacco before the Browns just blew him away with an offer? It's very possible. Will the Vikings draft a quarterback? Sure. Do they have something in place? Right? But Wentz is out there, and Wentz is only 32. Right? And when Wentz was on, he played some high-level ball. He was second-team All-Pro in 2017, and a major reason why the Eagles were in position to make a run to the Super Bowl, eventually won by Nick Foles, allegedly. But what's interesting is that Carson Wentz comes off as this oh shucks, small-town podunk, leave it to Beaver, Andy Griffith show, type dude. But if and when he signs somewhere else, he'll be on a 6 team in 6 seasons, right? And also, famously, his time in Indianapolis definitely did not end well. Jim Irsay basically throwing Carson Wentz under the bus. So I don't know. Like, behind the scenes, is he kind of an a-hole? Don't know. Don't know. Does he see himself as a starter? Is he a malcontent? Don't really know, right? But I feel like what Kevin O'Connell did with Sam Darnold, could he refine Carson Wentz to be a decent backup quarterback with some staying power? I think it's possible. And him being Midwest adjacent, Vikings fans, I'm sure, would embrace him, being a former NDSU Bison. But I don't know. Again, 6 teams in 6 years, that really bugs me. I can't put my finger on it. Don't really know why. Also, speaking of receivers in the draft, Trayshawn Holden, a player who's going to be drafted is Jaylen Lane, is in my ears and in my eyes. So the pride of Virginia Tech, started out Middle Tennessee State. He's a lot of fun. Like, super speedy, super agile, 40-plus inch vert as well, and put up some solid numbers between Middle Tennessee State as well as Blacksburg. And he also has a fair share of rushing carries, mainly jet sweeps, but also just lining him up all over the place. Plus is a elite punt and kick returner. So Lane is definitely a player that I would certainly love the Vikings taking. And even though the Vikings do not have a ton of draft picks, and receiver is kind of a low-key need, especially with Brandon Powell gone. Both the return jobs are open. And if Lane is there in the 5th round or 6th round, I certainly would not be mad at it at all. I think that he would be a really interesting spark for this offense. I think that he and Brashard Smith, the SMU running back, former wide receiver at Miami, would be in a similar situation. Sort of if Brashard, it's like, what do you want? Brashard Smith in the 5th or Jaylen Lane in the 6th? Sort of deal. We'll see. Lastly, so this one's funny. Risner talked or commented on social media that he would be good signing with the Bengals a couple weeks ago. But now I feel like Risner's just a little bit campaigning to get back into the fold. And the Vikings left guard job is going to be up in the air. And Risner, last 2 years with the Vikings, played some solid football, and plus most of his NFL experience has been at left guard. So if the Vikings, say, don't draft a left guard high, could he try to get back into the derby with the Vikings? And he put out a TikTok out there, because that's what all the kids do nowadays. Talk about his helmets and talk about one of the reasons why he signed with the Vikings is because of the fans and the U.S. Bank Stadium atmosphere, getting loud and proud, all that stuff. Plus, I love the Winter Warrior helmet. Good to go. Plus, he showed off the shaved head. Risner did not have that before, but he's starting to really. Risner. Risner doesn't sound like a Norse name, does it? But I can see him getting like some sort of Norse tattoos now. Just really trying to lean into this thing. He'll trying to look like an extra from the History Channel show Vikings. So why not? Yeah, he's got the beard. He's got the bald head now. Probably going to start being super passive aggressive. Talk about craft beers. I don't know. Just he's really leaning into the whole Minnesota Metro thing. I don't know, man. Anyways, that's it. That's it. A Vikings news dump for this beautiful Sunday. 11, I won't say days until the draft. Let us know your thoughts, our thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.